Welcome between periods 2 and 3, another Hockey Night in Poughkeepsie telecast. This is Eric Martin. My guest today, Al Trautwig. Al of USA Sports fame and of Toronto Maple Leaf fame at the Can-Am program in Lake Placid. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Eric.
As you can see in the background here, we're in the studio with the USA Network. They broadcast the game of the week. Tonight, the game being shown will be the New York Rangers and New York Islanders. Al, a question I always wondered. During a game, do you watch the whole game from the studio?
It depends on where I am. Here in Madison Square Garden, it's really easy for me to go outside and watch the game from the corner. In Washington, I'm actually in the arena. In Chicago, it's difficult because I'm way down in the basement. So I like to because I get a better feel for the fans and stuff like that. But sometimes I'm stuck watching it just like everybody else.
Do you really enjoy your job, or is it frustrating the fact that you can't be a fan, just go out in the seats or it's just that you know you're doing a job and that's all there is to it?
No, I don't think I could be happier than I am right now. There are some nights when I get a little crazy sitting in here just watching the entire period and not being involved in the telecast. That can be a little frustrating. I mean, we do 60 games a year, and that's an awful lot. But I do a little basketball, and I do a little of this and a little of that, and it's fabulous.
How do you prepare for a game, the day of a game, such as, let's say, hockey? You know you're going to have to do interviews. What's your daily preparation?
Well, it's more of an ongoing thing. I mean, I try to read 3-4 newspapers a day. If I go into a city, I'll buy the local newspaper, see what's going on. But I'm not concerned with the numbers of the players, how many goals they've got. I'm concerned basically with the general trend, the general theme of the game, and that's what I'll talk about in the beginning. And then my next concern is what I'm doing in between periods, and that, of course, is a couple of interviews. And that's all I'll think about. Who am I talking to, and what do I want to talk to them about? I'll never come up with specific questions, but I'll come up with a general idea, a general feeling for what I want to talk to the player about, and that's really it.
How soon before a game do you know which players you'll be talking to?
Sometime I'll know a few days beforehand, and other times I'll know a couple hours before the game.
Does it throw you off if a certain player can't show? I remember there was one Ranger game recently against the Devils that you couldn't do a post-game show because of a little commotion in the hallway you mentioned.
No, I'd be less than honest if I didn't say there were some interviews that I wasn't as prepared for as others. But when you have a general feeling for hockey and a general knowledge of where certain players fit in, and as I said, it's an ongoing thing in the papers. You read hockey news. I may see a little tidbit about Barry Beck or Pierre LaRouche for tonight, and I'll file it away. And hopefully when it comes time and they come walking in the locker room instead of who I'm supposed to have, I'll be able to have that little tidbit and hopefully save the interview.
Well, I think you had once told me in Lake Placid that you really didn't. Well, I don't know if you didn't know the sport of hockey that well, or you just weren't involved with hockey when you took this job. Was that the case?
Well, I was a stick boy for the Islanders the first 2 years that they played,
right.
And I was also the ball boy for the Nets, and I had done that for about 5 years. So I had seen, I don't know, literally hundreds of events. And when I went away to school, I basically had overdosed on sports. And I think for a couple of years, I didn't even follow who was where and what was what. But I had a general feeling of the game of hockey. And I may not be able to tell you what the Ranger line was in 1973, and I'm be the first one to tell you I'm not a trivial buff. But I was able to, now it's my 4th year, and now I feel pretty comfortable with who's in the league and following it and so forth.
Had you always wanted to be a broadcaster?
Well, I never really thought it was possible. I mean, I used to sit at the end of the net bench and do play-by-play of Julius Erving going in for a finger roll, and I mean, I used to do that, but it was only fooling around. Al Albert, who now works on USA Network, was the Nets broadcaster at that time, and I used to be friendly with him and kid around. And I mean this sincerely. I mean, I never thought it was going to happen. I was a business major in school, and I planned on being a business star.
How did you get your break, or how did you get your start in broadcasting?
Well, I transferred schools. I was going to the University of Massachusetts, and then I transferred to a local school on Long Island, Adelphi University, and I happened to meet this guy who worked on the college radio station, and he said, well, why don't you come on and do a basketball game with me, because I can't find anybody who wants to do it. And so I did, and in my senior year at Adelphi, we hooked up with this minor league soccer team, and they gave Adelphi University, I think it was $1,500 as a grant for us to cover their games. And the radio station was pretty big. I mean, it covered Manhattan and Nassau and Suffolk and Brooklyn and Queens and parts of Connecticut. And the next year, this minor league soccer team got on a big New York City station, and they said, we want you to do it. And so I quit my $15,000 a year advertising job to take a $50 a week job with this soccer team. And then indoor soccer started. and I became an expert in indoor soccer, and then USA Network was doing indoor soccer, and I got to do a game with them. And next thing I knew, I was doing tennis, and I was doing all kinds of things, and that's how that whole thing started.
How big is cable sport? USA Network. Don't really know what I'm trying to ask, but it just seems everything's going more cable now. Is going to be the trend, or is things going to go back, with network television? Or how much of a battle is there between network and cable TV?
Stymie once said on The Little Rascals, "I don't know where we're going, but we're on our way." And that's pretty much, I think, the story of cable television. No one knows what's going to be happening in 5 years. CBS goes into cable, they pull out, then they're back in. ABC is into cable quite heavy, and NBC is not. I don't think anybody really knows where it's going. I think people do know, though, that with the escalating rights fees, there's going to be a pay-per-view in the future somehow, once technology permits. There is a growing trend towards cable, but I don't know where it's going. I don't think anybody does.
Well, I just want to get into one more thing about that little stint in Lake Placid. We all expected you to come in touted as highly regarded as a tough forward, and what did happen up there?
Well, I had just come off arthroscopic surgery. Of course, I did try out for the Rangers, and I survived the last cut. Herb Brooks thought I had a lot of talent. The guy who sharpened the skates before the game was obviously inept. He had no idea what he was trying to do. And that really bothered my arthroscopic knee. And of course, I do have this nerve problem on the left side of my body. It can't move very well, and that, of course, comes from my days in the war. It was basically just not meant to be. I told Harold Ballard that I'd give it all for the Maple Leafs, and it didn't work out that way.
Well, I think one of the players on the team put it best. It was recently seen on the USA Network, and he said, "We'd like to have our wingers go up and down." He said, "Al Trautwig just went up and down the wings." He said, "Al Trautwig just went up and down."
Yeah, Al Trautwig did go up and down. I really had a good time. I mean, I hadn't been skating in a while. I don't know why I looked so bad. I can't tell you. I had a lot of fun, and I was really impressed by the guys that I met. I mean, how much they love to play the game of hockey. And the less time I was on the ice, I think, was better for everyone, because I didn't want to ruin anybody's time. But it was fun. I had a great time, and I'm going to work on my game, and I'm going to be back at Reach for the Stars next year, and I'm going to show everybody that I can play this crazy game.
Oh, we hope to see you back there, because no, it wasn't. The whole thing was enjoyable, I think, for all of us, and it's something I'll never forget. And as I was telling a few other people I've interviewed, I said it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing that I'll do twice, because it really was super. It was a pleasure having you there. I want to thank you for being with us. We know you got some work to do for tonight's game. Al, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Say hi to everybody up in Poughkeepsie, would you?
I will, on Lake Placid. I wish I had the. What do you give to your between periods guests?
Oh, we give them great stuff. We give them Toyota running suits and cameras that don't work all the time, and sometimes we give them jeans that never get delivered. But yeah, we spend a lot of money on that stuff.
Well, with our budget, we can't really give you anything, but we do give you our thanks.
I'll just take this tie then,
No.
Eric. Take this.
No, anything but my tie. But no, Al, thank you very much for being with us, and we'll be back with period 3 action in just a few moments.